Your well's dried up.
Oh God, that's good. I thought it was something serious where you could just fill it up because there's a hose right around the back. You know what I mean?
Fill it up.
What?
Fill it up. Lady, you're out of water. You're out of water. You're gonna have to tap into the county line. And that's 3 miles down the road.
Oh, look, I am almost out of money, Mr. Boone. I don't understand these technicalities. Just tell me one thing, okay? Is this going to be expensive?
Yep.
Well, do you know, like, approximately how much this is going to cost me? No, right, yeah. Well, just guess!
$5,000-6,000, maybe more.
Oh, well, that's just fine. That's it! I'm in! I can't make it here, okay? I mean, I am not top bunny, all right? I went to Harvard. I graduated at the top of my class for what? To spend my life fixing up this dilapidated shack? Well, you can just forget it. Because I'm going to get out of here. You see, I need to work. I need people. I need a social life. I need sex.
But please, I'm a married man.
I'm gonna shrivel up and die here. I mean, how much pain will this person supposed to be able to make in their lifetime? I mean, I am a career woman. I am used to having phone lists and dinner meetings. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I have been yucked and knocked to death by you guys. I have had it with whiskers and plaid. Look at me. I'm going nuts. I used to be cute. I'm not prepared for wells to run dry. I just want to turn on the faucet to have water. I don't want to know where it's coming from. Another 6,000!
A modern day remake of Matthew Vaughn's Lake. Kick a Coen brothers stand up with Timothy Chalamet. A Citizen Kane prequel, a Midnight Cowboy sequel. Alvin and the Chipmunks deserve another squeakquel. There's so many new ways to revisit sideways, but a graphic novel is how we choose to update. But we still hold fast, you can't change the past on the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
Greetings, Starfighters, Bernie Bros, and holders of an 802 area code. This is Ruined Childhoods. On this episode of the podcast, we are in the Green Mountain State on our cinematic journey across America. This New England state is known for its maple syrup, Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and quaint covered bridges. Whistling underwater? Illegal here. Keeping a dove in the freezer? Illegal here. 3 boards outside Burlington? This ain't Missouri. Billboards are illegal here. The state fruit is the apple, the state pie is apple, and in this state you can find more than 150 varieties of apples. That's right, we're in Vermont. Dan, how do you like them apples?
Well played. Well played.
Thank you.
I do like them Vermont apples. Those are some good apple pies.
I can't say for sure if I've ever had a Vermont apple, but I'm sure they're delightful and bountiful, as we will get into a little bit more when we start talking more about the second half of Baby Boom.
Where they sure are bountiful. Apples aplenty.
Yeah.
Have you been to Vermont?
Yeah, I've been to Vermont maybe twice. I had some friends that I was close with in high school, and still am close with, some of them, who went to school in Vermont at the University of Vermont in Burlington. And it's a really lovely state. I enjoyed myself greatly when I visited there, and would certainly enjoy going back sometime. It's a really beautiful place. Have you ever been?
Yeah, I remember I went up. I knew someone who they were vacationing up there, and they invited myself and me and a friend of mine who, like, we all kind of worked together. So we went up there, and it was lovely. It was in August, I remember, so it was a pretty nice time to be up there.
Yeah, and that sounds nice.
Yeah, it was. It was really nice. I remember some lake swimming up there.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I suppose I can.
Yeah,
I can envision that
go
happening.
jump in a lake. I did, and it was fun.
Cool. Yeah. No, it's a really beautiful place. Let's see. I feel like when I was there, I was really just mostly hanging out at like my friends', I guess, dorms or like apartments where they were living. and just
Yeah.
explored Burlington a little bit. And so actually I was there visiting my buddy Jenny Brown, whose brother Box Brown has been on the podcast talking heavyweights.
Yes.
Long time ago. That was like 2020 maybe.
Back in the archive, yeah.
Deep in the archive. So I was visiting her, and I don't know. It's a really cool place. Something I didn't mention is the band Fish. That's another Vermont thing.
I was thinking that, I think because she, if I remember correctly, is not just a big fan, but works with the band, right?
She's been working as I think maybe, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but photo archivist for the band. So she works for their photo archive. No, not at all. I mean, they are a very active group, and to work with your favorite band who's just known to be like nice dudes, how bad could that be?
No, it sounds like a sweet gig. So yeah, that's, hey, you doing that, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, that's, you've made it. You're happy with what you're doing in your life. Yeah.
And she also teaches like poetry and things like that over in maybe Humboldt College and maybe some other places. And so a cool life. Humboldt, California being, I think, very similar in vibes to a lot of parts of Vermont. So that makes sense.
I believe it has that reputation.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really funny, and Shirley will talk about this a little bit more, but, seeing as how you and I grew up in New Jersey, the idea of going to Vermont, if like your friends have like a vacation house and invite you up, it's kind of like if you live in LA and someone invites you to like Santa Barbara. Like, it's really not that far. It's maybe more of the difference between like LA and the Bay Area. But I
mean,
it's actually
Vermont, depending on where you're going and where you're coming from and like the time of day that you're traveling and all that. I mean, like 4, maybe 6 hours. 6 hours,
exactly,
I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's kind of like LA to San Francisco, 5-6 hours.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny. I never really thought, I mean, when I was living on the East Coast, to like venture out to the different cities on the East Coast, living in like Philadelphia. It never occurred to me to be like, I'm going to do a little weekend in Baltimore or DC or something like that. Yeah. But it's like, no, they're right there. It's, almost the same as me going from Portland to Seattle right now.
Right. Yeah. You don't, which really Portland is probably the closest metropolitan area. I mean, of course there's Olympia, and Tacoma is kind of like connected to Seattle, but Portland's really the next big city and really after that, it's San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of compare Olympia to like Portland's Eugene, where it's like, it's far enough away where it's its own thing and it has its own vibe there. College town. Isn't Olympia a college town? Is that right?
I'm sure there's a college there.
I'm sure there's a college there.
It's not.
It has that vibe.
It's not like a Bellingham,
right?
Which is considered I think that's a pretty big college town.
And is it really?
There's a lot of other college towns that if I lived here for more than I don't like, how old am I and how long have I lived here? I'm trying to do math right now. Like a 7th of my life. I don't know. No, not quite.
That's nuts.
No, not a 7th.
Yeah.
Almost a 6th, a 5th, between a 5th and a 6th. We'd have to go to decimals.
We're not here to do math. We're here to talk about baby boom.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even need trimester math. We're not even.
No, it's not even something that we have to deal with here. This is the story of an inherited child. Indeed.
Yeah. So, shall we march on in and get ready?
I think
else
so.
We need to chat about.
Look, we don't need to chat about anything, but it's just nice to catch up sometimes. But it makes a lot of sense to kind of to begin with talking about Vermont experiences because, even though this movie takes place half in New York, essentially, it's really a Vermont movie because it's like, New York embodies all that's wrong with our like protagonist's life, and Vermont represents all of the promise of the good things that can happen. And it's a true Vermont film.
Yeah.
I think like filmed in like the Bennington area.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Dan, do you remember watching Baby Boom growing up a bunch?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I remember. So it came out, I think, in the fall of 1987.
Love the 1987 movies.
Yeah. It came out October 30th, 1987. And and by the way, it was filmed in Weston, Vermont, Manchester, Vermont, Peru, Vermont.
Yeah. I think mostly Peru, Vermont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like these are authentic locations in this film, and Baby Boom would have been among our like first blockbuster rentals, because I feel like 87 was kind of the transition from the more mom and pop video store to Blockbuster. And I'm pretty sure I remember renting Baby Boom, and it might have been like all right, we have to spend the day at our father's office, which meant we were locked in the conference room with the AV cart. And it was like we stopped at the nearby Blockbuster, which was like the first Blockbuster in that area. Was fortunately not too far from where we lived and close to where our father worked. So we just rent a bunch of movies, and I was usually the one in charge of that, being the oldest. So
sure, yeah. When we did have those, having to kind of camp out in Dad's conference room for the day. I don't know what the deal was, but what I remember, and I don't remember if you were there for this one, but I remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit being one that we would, and then when it was done, you just rewind it and watch it again.
Right.
You get a pizza.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did we own Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
That one we owned. I think it was sent to us by, we have our mother's cousin who I think, had the hookup to
because VHS tapes,
Disney VHS that we would be sent. But yeah, we owned a copy of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So I remember The Princess Bride was one of those. I'm almost certain. And Baby Boom might have been one of those. I remember, like, I saw it. It looked like, saw the trailers. It looked like fun. There's a cute baby, and it's, like I saw that movie, and Look Who's Talking. All those, like, the movies where it's like, what am I going to do with this baby? I didn't expect this.
Three Men and a Baby.
Three Men and a Baby, also a fall 1987 jam.
Yeah, and Baby Boom really was also the cross-section between the What Do I Do With This Baby movies and the Women in the Workplace movies.
Right.
Working Girl, 9 to 5, kind of coming off of that. And
I wrote I wrote in my notes. I wrote, what was it? 9 to 5 danced so Baby Boom could toddle, so Working Girl could stride, so the First Wives Club could get even.
Ooh, there you go. That's if you had one of those like DVD packs where it's like the 4 movies in one and you see them, that's like the blurb on it. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. And I mean, yeah, like there are definitely other, I feel like those are kind of the iconic movies that, and also give us these, the fabulous women who were, leading movies and anchoring these movies.
Dan, did I tell you about my Bette Midler dream?
No.
Okay. This is great.
Right now.
I'm going to right now. So this was maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And it was one where I woke up and I was like, what the fuck am I dreaming about? And basically I was at like a house party, and one other person who was there was Bette Midler. And for some reason, she and I were tasked with going out and picking up some pizzas that had been ordered. And so Bette Midler and I, she was so delightful, and she was like so friendly, and she and I got along great. We're like venturing off and goofing around. And
you're definitely going to have side quests if you're going off on a mission with Bet.
there was no real side quest, but the pizzeria was in a building where in order to get to it, you had to go through the office of an architecture firm, which was run by not the person, but a character played by Diane Keaton. So like, it was like this woman knows the deal. She has to open up the door for people who come in through for the pizza place. She is played by Diane Keaton. She has the Diane Keaton vibes, you know, the like First Wives Club, something's got to give kind of vibes.
I was going to say, which era are we talking here?
Yeah. You know, she's kind of like a well-known professional, but she also has a light side. So something's got to give is what I'm kind of like thinking of vibe-wise.
Yeah.
So Bette Midler and I are there. We have to wait for the pizzas, and I can't remember exactly what the wording was. I'm gonna see if like I text it to somebody, and if so, I can find.
Please,
because sometimes let me see, Midler.
Yes. This is fantastic. This is a treat.
And this is, you're going to see why it's even especially a treat. Here it is. I then told Bette Midler that my brother Dan confided in me, telling me that if he was stranded on a desert island with one person, he'd want it to be Bette Midler.
You know what? Yeah. Wow. Fantastic.
But I was like, oh, Dan told me this in confidence. I should not be saying this, but this is the opportunity, and
I'm glad
you know
knows.
we're here where, you know, there's a lull in the conversation, and she was like, that means so much to me. I love that. Tell him thank you. That's such high praise. You know, it's like, you know, that was
so much fun.
I'm telling you, I woke up from that dream and I was like, what is my brain doing? What is happening up there?
Were you had you watched any Bette Midler films recently?
No.
Did Baby Boom kind of just put you kind of like?
I think,
like, was Goldie Hawn involved?
Goldie Hawn was not there. I think that Diane Keaton, I think she's kind of usually rattling around in the brain. You know, it's not too long until I watch some sort of Diane Keaton movie. So, but Bette Midler, not the case. So
but that's so true about Diane Keaton, and it's a great segue as well, because if you look at Diane Keaton's career and you talk about like Something's Got to Give and the First Wives Club and like those movies that she's known for, but then also The Godfather, the whole like, oh right, she's not just in The Godfather, she's like a central part of that trilogy. So
that's true. Yeah.
And then you have Annie Hall, who, you know, despite feelings and opinions and facts about the writer and director of that film, that like Diane Keaton that was an iconic creation of hers.
It was a showcase for Diane Keaton.
Oh yeah, but wait, also, and then you're like, yeah, that Diane Keaton, that's where she really started that persona. But then she does Reds, so
she does Reds, yeah,
and The French Lieutenant's Woman, and so Diane Keaton really, you know, is kind of like an unsung hero when you think about just like Meryl Streep is probably the name that comes up when you're thinking about like that generation of actresses, which, my God, if you look at just that generation of actresses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glenn Close.
Glenn Close. I mean, Glenn Close, Lily Tomlin.
Yeah.
The whole, I mean, like everyone that in the movies that we've already talked about.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver,
absolutely. Gina Davis,
Diane Wiest. Oh, no, I mean, not Joan Allen a little bit later.
Yeah.
But who's the one? Jessica Lange.
Yeah. Gotta love Jessica Lange.
Oh, absolutely. And these are like the women who are really, you know, those lead roles in films and getting Academy Award nominations, mostly Meryl, but but when you look at Diane Keaton's, as even compared to those peers in that group, which Susan Sarandon, so impressive, and it's part and that what she brings to every role, whether it's in The Godfather or in Baby Boom, is that you buy her for every minute of it, no matter what it is. And I think Baby Boom was such a wonderful a showcase for her.
So I think about and one other actress that kind of fits into this category is Sally Field. Oh, yeah. And what I think is the two of them kind of share is they're both really good at playing exasperated, but two different brands of exasperated. Whereas Diane Keaton has a fun clumsiness to her exasperation and a composure that she can get with it that Sally Field takes in a different direction in a really enjoyable way.
With Diane Keaton, I'm just kind of keeping my shit together. With Sally Field, it's more like I am astounded by whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the exasperation is on the machine, Rose, on the machine.
Yes. Oh, I love Soap Dish. Diane Keaton definitely, kind of made a mark for herself and showed everybody who she was, what kind of actress she was. I don't think that you see as much range in the roles that she has. I don't know if she's done a lot of period dramas, for example.
French Lieutenant's Woman.
I'm saying a lot of.
A lot.
Because I'm thinking, because then she does the Father of the Bride movies, and of course she does. I mean, the whole Nancy Meyers, which
she does,
of course,
contemporary. That's true. She does contemporary really well.
Yeah,
yeah. That's more. I mean, who in that group was really did period pieces? I mean, even Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
I can't really.
I'm just. That was just one example.
Oh yeah,
it's just saying you see her and you think of contemporary roles. Meryl Streep. What's also interesting about Meryl Streep is that yes, she does a lot of these Oscar-y performances, but then she also does The River Wild,
right?
And and
has done that. She Devil, things like that.
Right. But also she will take what could easily be a, more of a River Wildy, Father of the Bride kind of role and turn it into something that is Oscar worthy. Devil Wears Prada, for example. It's she could have played that a lot of different ways and it wouldn't have been half as good.
No. And I mean, there's a reason.
Yeah.
So,
and Diane Keaton, I mean, she deserves all credit for, standing out and really be and kind of creating the acting persona that she envisioned.
Because I think she did really create a persona and a reputation that does stand out.
Yeah. And she's so appropriately cast in Baby Boom because you totally buy her as some sort of corporate person. And you also buy her as the going off to Vermont with a baby.
I would say, she is probably the best Nancy Meyers protagonist / surrogate, I guess. Meryl Streep did a good job with It's Complicated, but I think Diane Keaton kind of, even the similar ones to that, what did she do? The Because I Said So.
Because I Said So wasn't that the Michelle Pfeiffer, Paul Rudd one?
No. That
Because I
don't-
Said So. What's that one?
I want to say it's with Mandy Moore, and it's.
I was
she
hoping you were
has-
saying Mandy Patinkin.
No, oh god, he would make a
The
great,
two
like, you
Mandys?
know, like a Golden Years love interest for her.
Yeah, I would
In
love
a
to see
movie.
him in a Nancy Myers film.
Yeah. So hold on a second. Because I Said So. Yes. So it was Diane Keaton, Mandy Moore. This is 2007, and this is Michael Lehman directed this, and
Okay.
she's not working with the experienced hands of Nancy Myers
Got it.
in this.
There was
Tom Everett
also
Scott was in it.
Oh,
Lauren
okay.
Graham
Shades.
and Piper Perabo.
Got it. There was also the Jack Nicholson one where Paul Rudd is his son.
I think that was a James L. Brooks with like Reese Witherspoon.
Yes, Reese Witherspoon. They all kind of meld together at a certain point because they have titles that are kind of like fragments of sentences, essentially.
Right. Well,
Something's got to give. It's complicated.
Well, something's got to give,
Yeah.
and I mean, like, I heard this in the movie, but also read it on IMDb trivia. That is a line in this movie that,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
is delivered. So hold on. So that was Paul Rudd. That was not They Came Together.
They Came Together is so good though.
I still
That's
haven't
the
seen that.
That's oh my god, it's so funny. It's kind of like the David Wayne "You've Got Mail" parody.
Got it. Yeah. I
It's
remember
so
seeing the
good.
trailer for it. It looked wonderful. Anyway, I'm still looking for that movie, and maybe he had it removed from IMDb. But
Wait, the Michelle Pfeiffer one or the Jack Nicholson one?
the Jack Nicholson one, actually, I could just look under Jack Nicholson. I think that was the last movie he did.
It could have been. I just saw that his longtime manager just passed away.
Oh,
While I was waiting to start recording, I was looking at the trades, and that's
How do you know?
How do you know? See, look,
And that's
exactly.
it's with Owen Wilson,
Oh,
Reese
yeah.
Witherspoon, Paul Rudd, and Jack Nicholson, and that was indeed a James L. Brooks joint.
Yep.
Let's see who else was in that. Catherine Hahn. Hey, Mark Lynn Baker was in that. All right, way to go,
Oh, yeah.
Cousin Larry. Yeah,
Well,
that'll
Dan,
tone-
shall we get into Synopsisville?
Yes,
and
we're not here to
and-
talk about how do you know?
No, we're not going to talk about
Something's
that
gotta
one.
give. Baby boom.
It's the late 80s and women are doing it for themselves. For one New York consulting firm, J.C. Wyatt is the most electrifying type A exec to grace Park Avenue. She works 1,000 hours a week, has an easy breezy relationship with a hotshot business dude, and fantasizes about a Vermont farmhouse vacation home. But JC's life is derailed when a distant relative tragically dies and leaves Elizabeth, his baby daughter, to his only living relative, JC. Now, she has to figure out how to juggle the hustle and bustle of New York living with the weebles and wobbles of a 14-month-old. After failed attempts to put Elizabeth up for adoption, or to find suitable nannies, JC finds that she's grown attached to the kid. And when she notices that she's being overlooked at work in favor of the young hotshot she trained, JC makes the call to quit her job, pack up her life in New York, and whisk Elizabeth away to Vermont. Oh, and her easygoing boyfriend? He hit the bricks at the first mention of keeping the baby around. In Vermont, JC takes a long time to adapt, but a chance meeting with a handsome veterinarian, an overabundance of fresh apples, see, I told you we'd bring up apples again, and a sudden opportunity to build a business of her own make JC and Elizabeth's adventures in Vermont nothing short of extraordinary. Diane Keaton is JC Wyatt. JC, Jesus Christ, is that a thing? Is every
Right.
character that's a JC a Jesus thing?
Whatever it is, it's a very desexualized, masculinized name. Yes.
Yeah, I doubt it. Sam Shepard is Dr. Jeff Cooper. Harold Ramis plays the boyfriend at the beginning. Sam Wanamaker is Fritz, her boss. James Spader is the young hotshot Ken. Let's see, who else do we have? Oh, Chris Noth is a yuppie in it. That's really fun. Mary Gross is one of the administrative assistants. Victoria Jackson
Right,
is a nanny. Feds. Yeah. I can't believe that we did Feds. That was so weird.
It's a Feds Yeah, I know. Feds. That is a movie that we have done on this podcast. Yes. So, and actually speaking of the cast, what's interesting is we've got a DC universe connection because we've got Sam Wanamaker, who plays the person who buys the Daily Planet in Superman 4 Quest for Peace. And Pat Hingle was Commissioner Gordon in the Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher Batman films.
That's right. Okay.
And what's also funny is, so Pat Hingle pops up in the movie, and you I know him. I know he's like a character actor who worked like for decades, but I know him as Commissioner Gordon from the 1989 and 1992 Batman. He has my least favorite line in Batman Returns. Like, thanks for saving the day.
Oh,
no, you don't need to. And then, I was watching, and then I was going to put on a movie just to have on in the background while I was doing some cleaning, and I put on Maximum Overdrive, which was streaming on Prime, and Pat Hingle is in that, and has a pretty significant role in that. Yeah, Pat Hingle.
Okay.
And then interesting story about Sam Wanamaker is he is the person kind of responsible, or at least primarily responsible, for the rebuilding of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre in London.
Really?
Yes. He, I think, was studying, and I think might have been married to a British actress, but spent a lot of time there, and just was like, there needs to be a theater that's devoted to presenting the works of Shakespeare as they were, and there needs to be one. So he is responsible. I know him as from Superman 4 and from this movie
and Baby Boom.
And there's a couple of others where he pops up, but yeah, responsible for the globe that was rebuilt in London in the 90s. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, indeed. So how do you like them apples?
Delicious trivia apples. There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah. Go on.
I'd like. Oh no. I was going to bring up something that I really like about this movie, and I don't know if you can kind of foresee this, that I was going to bring this up, but I do love, especially in 80s movies, a good montage, and
great montages here,
chock full of classic montages, including one of my favorite types of montage, the busy city where the hustle never stops montage, which is accompanied by brilliant voiceover by Linda Ellerby. So funny. There was so much humor in this that I definitely did not get. This movie is a lot it's a lot more satirical.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did not pick up on this shit when I was 10.
Yeah, I feel like Harold Ramis is really good at delivering a lot of that kind of stuff his brief scenes. That's always pretty good. Yeah, it's really fun and quirky. And, like you're saying with the montages, you throw that Bill Conti score on it, and it's a home run.
Oh, yeah. I
love it. A few years ago, out of nowhere, this one tune popped into my head, and I was like, "What is that?" And then I kind of realized, is that the music from Baby Boom when they're driving to Vermont? And I checked, and it totally was.
Was that what I was kind of just singing?
Yeah, it's pretty much. And it was one of those moments where I think it was my brain just checking in and being like, do we still need this? And I was like, yeah, let's keep that.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of geometry.
Yeah. No. Baby Boom score, put that in the keep pile.
Yeah.
And speaking of, you mentioned Harold Ramis's delivery, and especially jokes that definitely went over the heads of children. the thing when they have sex and it's 4 minutes.
Yeah,
and
that's funny.
Like, so first, like the first part of the joke is that, but then they just pull back and he just goes, "That was incredible."
Yeah.
And just, I went from chuckling to guffawing.
That feels very Nancy Meyers.
Yes.
I really appreciate that. It's, Nancy Meyers, and this was certainly an early example of like, kind of putting her fingerprints on these movies in a major way. And she definitely has a lot of fun with like, what sex in movies should really be like. And instead of like, sensationalized and things like that, it's kind of just like, do you want to have sex? And she's like, puts down the paper and, that kind of a thing.
Right.
And
right.
I appreciate that. It's fun.
And especially from the female perspective.
Yeah.
And, like, not the, like the male, like when we see a sex scene in a Lethal Weapon movie and it seems like it's just like, hours and hours of flexing and
and I'm pretty sure that Loaded Weapon 1 nailed the depiction of that.
It did.
Even with the butt and the moonbeam shot.
Oh, absolutely. Hands down. Great movie. Love it.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to the girls who played Elizabeth, Christina, and Michelle Kennedy, who reprised their role in the Baby Boom series, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And they were fantastic. Like, I feel like so much of this movie hinges on like the baby being just right, and this baby was just right.
Reactions. There's the one scene. There's a scene with her and Sam Shepard where they just keep cutting to the baby, like looking back and forth between the two of them.
Yeah,
and again, like having these wonderful reactions. The baby with Harold Ramis when he's like counting down with her.
Yes,
I mean, like she knew how to play off Harold Ramis.
Sure. And I mean, you think about Harold Ramis in Ghostbusters 2 with baby Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
And, and it's very similar.
Harold Ramis with a baby is good for a laugh.
Yeah. And I'm sure that in reality, he was fantastic with kids and was a blast, but like he knows how to like be this awkward person that doesn't know how to interact with a child. So rest in power, King. One of the greats.
Indeed.
And also, I gotta say, I feel like baby Elizabeth bears a resemblance to our niece Shelby.
She does.
I was seeing it big time in the latest viewing, and then I'm just like, man, she captures that Shelby essence.
This is true.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Around the same age, they've got some of the same things going on.
The baby Elizabeth apparently just doesn't for a child at perhaps their like most rapid growth stage in life.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That baby doesn't grow for like a solid year because theoretically in order for this movie to make any sense, it has to take place over the course of probably a year.
At least. I mean, she doesn't like she has a lot of trouble adjusting, so.
But it's also kind of like, who cares?
Well, yeah, no,
it's one of those movies where it's like, look, it's not important how much time is actually going by, but yeah.
No, it doesn't matter, and all the right. It follows. It hits all the right beats, and like Sam Shepard is incredibly charming. And
very charming.
James Spader is, who he reminds me
the opposite of charming.
Well, James Spader, and it's funny because like he does, it's of course, it's a James Spader character, but in this movie especially, he reminds me of John Glover in Scrooged. Yeah. That like, hey, I've got a meeting with Preston and all that, like, having drinks down in the cabana.
John Glover, who in Gremlins 2 played Clamp, the Trump analog. So they're both so good at just playing like smarmy businessmen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Though he does have his redemption in Gremlins too.
Oh, tenfold, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, James Spader's kind of perfectly cast in this role. It almost feels like he's underutilized because he's, just so good at being such a little twat.
Yeah. I mean, you could have theoretically put another actor in there, and it would have been fine. But James Spader is great.
He Spaders it up. It's great.
He totally does. So it's a lot of fun. I really like the arc that it takes.
Mm-hmm.
In that it's, I mean, really the idea of this is that women have to choose between having a family and actually, like, not just having a family, but being a part of that family.
Yeah,
and
an
having,
active member of the family.
and having a career, but also, like, in that career, she's got to work, twice as hard as a man in her position who can have the family and can, because that's not because of any other reason than that's what society has deemed appropriate.
Yeah, and Fritz, Sam Wanamaker's character, essentially lays that out for her. Is just like, just want to check in with you because, like, I have a family, but I can do that because I have a wife who stays at home and she raised the kids, and I work here and can provide for them. And he's like doing a temperature check of just like, you're sure that that's not what you want for your life? Because she's up for this big promotion and everything. And of course, at the beginning, she's just like, nope, I have no desires at all to have any kind of family. I have designed my life just so that I can excel at my career, and that's that. And how things change.
Right. But at the end, I don't know how this is a
spoiler alert.
But at the end, when she makes her decision, so she's basically offered this big, like, conglomerate called the food chain.
Yeah,
offers to buy her country baby applesauce.
Right. We didn't even get into, like, what she does in Vermont.
No.
Yeah.
But
she
yeah,
turns lemons into lemonade and apples into baby food.
Right. She comes up with this, like, baby food recipe because she's got all these apples and she's got nothing else to do. So, the one thing she can do is make applesauce. When life gives you apples, you make applesauce.
Yeah.
So she comes up with this recipe, and then she starts, like, giving it, like, who the guy who owns the local store, like his kids or his grandkids, they love it. And then, so it kind of, a grassroots campaign, it kind of picks up steam and becomes more popular. And, like, she ends up in the trades and everything. Yeah. So then her company now, which is representing the food chain, chain wants to buy Country Baby, and they're offering her all this money, but they also want to move the base of operations to Cleveland.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's all that, and she's like, yes, I'm back, but it doesn't mean, like, and I love, and she, in her speech, she talks about, like, I have a crib in my office and a mobile over my desk, and I like that.
Yeah.
And this was not a time, I mean, now and what's crazy is it is this movie comes out in 1987, making these comments and everything, and we don't pass, like, paid family leave until, like, when did that get passed? Like 2 years ago? 5? No, I don't know. But
so, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, the offer that they make to her to buy out her company is absolutely bananas. It's like $325,000 a year base salary, and then there's all of the bonuses and all the other stuff. with inflation, that equals about $900,000 a year.
Yeah.
Salary, base salary.
Right. Yeah. Because we're talking 1987
Yeah.
money here. So,
Right.
yeah. And
I mean, they're telling her that she's essentially going to be netting with like everything about $1 million a year. So and that's 1987 money. It's bananas.
what I really appreciated about it is she's not compromising. She's not saying, okay, I will settle for less so that I can have my family and keep my company. She's saying, no, I'm going to do all the shit you're saying you're going to do with
Right.
Country Baby, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it on my terms.
Yeah.
So,
And probably make way more money doing it on her terms.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she
Absolutely.
gets to and then she gets to date Sam Shepard.
Well, I mean, but yeah. And you know what? That's the sprinkles on the icing on the cake, because
There you go.
what she gets to be with Elizabeth, and she gets to do something that she loves doing. And she's like, she's still, and it's like when she says she's not the tiger lady,
Yeah.
good for her, because the tiger lady tokenizes her, and it
Yes.
makes like that language. And I mean, it's not subtle, but all the way that they talk about her, like, normally I don't think of you as a woman.
Right.
It's
It's insulting.
all like, it just tokenizes her, and it's not like, okay, we want more women like you. It's, all right, we'll let this one in.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And they're kind of
it's
waiting
not good.
for her to fail. They're kind of waiting for this to happen.
Yeah.
You see
Another
it.
thing that I remembered that they dangled in front of her as part of the deal is that they would get her any apartment in New York she wanted. Can you
Oh, yeah.
imagine turning
Oh.
that down?
I mean, the value of that alone. Yeah, no.
I know. Absolutely. I mean, but as we've talked about in High Noon, 87 is pre-Giuliani New York. So
Yeah.
it's a little rougher around the edges. Anyway, I do want to touch on the TV series Baby Boom a little bit. Dan, have you ever watched any of it?
I probably did when it was first on, because it sounds like something I would have been interested in watching, but I know like Kate Jackson was in it.
Yes, Kate Jackson is the Diane Keaton character, and there's some episodes on YouTube, so I watched a little bit of it. It was a little hard to watch because it's a sitcom. There's no laugh track. It definitely feels like you're on a soundstage.
Uh-huh.
No places don't have windows really. It's kind of awkward, and they really hit you over the head very hard with the like how it's difficult to be a woman in the workplace and how corporate life is a boys' club. And Sam Wanamaker reprises his role as well. And, and of course, it's like a network sitcom. It's not going to make the audience do any work.
Right.
It tells you flat out, like, this is wrong because X, Y, and Z, and we're women. We're not, second-class citizens, and blah, 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 blah. And for the time, I realize, that's a little, that wasn't around as much, but they hit you over the head very hard with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 I could see the way that you're responding. Are you looking at the cast?
Well,
'Cause
yeah,
there's
I'm
a few
looking at
interesting
IMDb.
people in the cast.
I'm looking at the cast because because I'm seeing, of course, Susie Essman.
Susie Essman.
And Joy Behar. But
Joy Behar. Joy Behar is a very strange, she plays Helga, who's a nanny.
Mhm.
And she is like some Eastern European descent.
That's like how in the movie, the one that
yeah,
that she
but it's
faces-
like you can tell that she's like a New York Jew pretending to be an Eastern European woman. Like, it's very strange. Susie Essman is just Susie Essman.
Job's a job, yeah. But I'm noticing Paxton Whitehead, it looks like, who is pops up in this, and who I would say at least our listeners would probably know best as the, I guess, antagonist Philip in Back to School.
Right.
Or perhaps he
Yes.
played Sherlock Holmes in a bunch of specials.
Yeah. Stuffy dude.
Stuffy British.
Yeah. The one other interesting thing about the sitcom is I think like the 4th or 5th episode was directed by Mary Kay Place.
Oh.
Yeah. Of The Big Chill, Pecker, just things that we've covered on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love Mary Kay Place, and I didn't know that she did directing, so that's pretty neat.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, the show, it's strange, and also it's just like the only Diane Keaton is Diane Keaton.
Yeah. It's also like when you're doing the show right after the movie.
Yeah.
And it's not like this. I mean, I'm pretty sure the movie was, relatively successful, but
yeah,
it's not like it was a huge like, sensation. Yeah.
So they did a sitcom. Dan, would you do a sitcom? What would you do with Baby Boom?
So I think where I would go with this is I would love to see Nancy Meyers actually like remake it. I would like to see her. I would like to see Nancy Meyers look at this movie and look at this script, which, as we have pointed out, is definitely progressive and like promotes a lot of ideas that really you shouldn't. I mean, like, and it's comparable to. Let me talk about another movie that I watched for the first time recently. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh,
holy cow! That movie is so great, and it is so relevant to like politics and corruption in politics today.
Well, it's like sexism in the workplace and corruption in politics are things that have existed for a long time and are not going away.
Right. But it's kind of, it's crazy to look at Baby Boom and you look at it and I would love to see, okay, what happens now? How do you remake Baby Boom? And I would like to see her remake it for 2024.
Yeah.
Because you also look at, like, there's a lot of stuff, like the way that they talk to her and treat her and everything that wouldn't be tolerated anymore. Yeah. But there's also got to be some relevance. I mean, like, I know, like, it's still, we're not at a place where there's equality in the workforce between the sexes. And there are, it's not even like even the, paid family leave. I got more time off than my wife did. For
you, a public school teacher, your wife who is in the corporate world.
Yes. So she got, 3 months. But
yeah, I remember it was very strange with your most recent child.
Well, right, because like Washington State provides 3 months. You're not getting paid your full. You're getting paid but still, like you're getting.
They're not paying you $325,000 a year in 1987 money.
No, but they. You're getting paid, but then also the public school system where I work, you get your 3 months from them. So I had, over the course of a year, I had 6 months of leave time to use. So, it's still not equal because some states can, Washington State is very, is generous and or reasonable. We should say reasonable, maybe not generous.
Yeah,
but
they get it.
So there's still this battle, and there's still this sense of like, do I have to choose between like which what sacrifice do I have to make? And the idea of somebody, gaining custody of a baby through these means, I mean, it's, maybe not an everyday occurrence, but it's certainly feasible. It's not one of those things that like, yeah, no, that wouldn't work anymore because of cell phones.
Right. Yeah.
There's certain things, I mean, like, but yeah, I think I would love to see a Nancy Meyers, or I don't know if there's like a Nancy Meyers protege that could take Baby Boom and remake it.
Yeah.
Like, who is our 2024 JC Wyatt?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm also thinking of like I know you're saying Nancy Meyers should just do it, but like who is making movies like this anymore that isn't Nancy Meyers? Right.
And like I'm sure there are other names and other people who would be really good, but this is one of those circumstances where I really think I would like to see the original writer come back to this story. And like your protagonist doesn't have to be named JC Wyatt, and it doesn't have to be New York and Vermont. It could be San Francisco. She could be in tech, and it could be Humboldt County.
Yeah, there you go.
So maybe she like develops a line of like baby friendly CBD products or something.
There you go. That's it.
I don't know, but that's I think that's where I would go with it. I don't see much else. You can't do this on a play, or you need to have a baby. Like you can't just have a baby doll.
Right. Yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah. So first I was just looking, was there a Baby Boom musical ever? I don't see anything, but
I mean, I was thinking that you could do one where you have someone playing like Elizabeth's inner monologue. But
sure. Look Who's Talking style.
Like it's not worth doing.
No. Yeah. So, for anybody who's listening to this as it comes out, this will make more sense. If you're listening to this several years later, this is coming out early August 2024, and we are in the throes of election mayhem, and we have J.D. Vance talking about family values and how if you don't have a biological child of your own, you are worthless. And
she not only inherited a baby, she inherited an extra vote in the J.D. Vance plan.
Yeah. And so there's so much that goes into, and also there's the criticisms for Vice President Harris, because she doesn't have biological children. She has, stepchildren, which they are no less her children.
Yeah.
It's, they are her children. And she has a very healthy co-parenting situation with their biological mother, and they're adults, they're not like babies or anything. Right. But, I was thinking a lot about the current state of, what's happening on like the largest level of, it's not really the business world, politics really. And I'm not suggesting that this is the situation, but I was thinking like, what if there is a woman running for president and she's going up against some conservative, and she somehow inherits a child, be it a baby or be it a tween or something like that. A tween could be really funny. Get Jacob Tremblay in there.
Oh, I mean, sorry, now it's making me think of that Mr. Show sketch, the one where David Cross is like the adult who gets adopted.
Oh, yeah. 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 So I think that it could be really fun to,
that would be good.
And I'm trying to think if there have been any movies that center around a presidential candidate and a child?
It's
It's almost like a Dutch situation where it's like she has to go on the campaign trail and deliver this kid. I don't know.
Is she inheriting? Is she delivering a kid?
Look,
or is,
I-
delivering. You
No,
meant
no,
deliver,
not like delivering a baby. I'm talking about,
Dutch
like,
the movie.
Dutch the movie. Yeah.
I'm
Not
like, you mean
like a-
like in a Dutch comedy?
No,
or
no,
like you
no.
would set this in the
I
Netherlands?
mean, Ed O'Neill,
Ethan Randall,
Ethan Embry.
Ethan
yeah.
Embry, Ethan, whatever. But yeah, Dutch. Okay, that Dutch,
Right.
or over the top.
Well, over the top, it is his son,
Yes,
whereas
Yeah,
Dutch,
that's
it
true.
is the child of the woman he's dating,
Jo Beth Williams
JoBeth Williams
of The Big Chill.
of The Big Chill. It all comes back to The Big Chill. So, I was thinking that something like that could be really interesting, but it's the only
I
reason
like
I'm
that.
thinking that is really just because it's so present on my mind for what's happening on the news, and it's a little unavoidable because of course I did think like, I don't know, could this be done as a play? I don't know. I mean, also that's not usually where I go with things. But it's like, yes, there was already a TV series. I do feel like it could be done better. So it's like maybe this is a TV series.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like, as a TV, it sounds like kind of that idea as a TV series is kind of like the season of Veep that never happened.
I've been rewatching Veep just like so many other people. And
It's so good.
God damn, it's good. Ugh,
So funny.
what a
But
great show.
yeah, but like that, so that would have been a really fun like arc on Veep. Have her inherit.
Especially her.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but that would not be the same. Like I feel like still keeping it in the spirit of Baby Boom, almost like if you had Charlize Theron's character from The Long Shot, all of a sudden inheriting a baby.
Yeah. I love Long Shot. It's such a good movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
One quick anecdote that I wanted to share.
Mm-hmm.
So, past guest on the podcast and my ex-wife Laura, you could listen to her on the Soap Dish episode and our Grisham's episode.
Oh yes.
Deep in the vault. So she has a tendency to not remember certain or say things incorrectly.
Check out the Soap Dish episode.
Check out the Soap Dish episode. We go into it in detail. But
She
this
does
is
it.
an example. She does do it. This is an example of something that's kind of like adjacent to that. So we would play this game a lot where it would be like, all right, try and figure out the thing that I'm thinking. And it's like, usually it was like a name of a movie. And so I was thinking of Baby Boom, and you're kind of like charadesing it out.
Mm.
And she thought that she had it with Infant Explosion. So whenever I think about Baby Boom, I think about Infant Explosion.
I'm sure
it's
it was
fantastic.
released as that in some country.
I do like to look on IMDb to see what it does get, what some movies do get translated to in other countries. Let me do a quick look over here and see if Baby Boom.
Also, are there any horses or boats named Baby Boom?
That is another great question. There's got to be a
boat.
A boat.
Gotta be a boat.
All right. Well, let me just check and see if we have. Here's a tagline: J.C. Wyatt, corporate powerhouse, just received an inheritance, and it sucks. Boo!
What?
I don't like that.
What?
Just saying.
No.
Okay, here we go. Also known as. What Argentina? I have to do a little Google Translate on this one. I'm doing a lot of
Is it? I hope
on
it's
the
Infant
fly.
Explosion.
Okay, and that in English is what?
It's just what?
No, it's better than that. It is Quien llamo a la cigüeña, which translates to "Who called the stork?" Let's see, Bulgaria. That one's just baby boom. Brazil, that one doesn't look like it says baby boom. Greek's gift. Interesting. I don't know about that. Denmark has one with a question mark. Let's see what that one is.
Who called the stork?
Who sent the stork?
What?
Interesting, because I think baby boom, because it's all about, the baby boom, the baby boomer generation. Yeah, Finnish translates to who called the stork. Finnish also. No. Let's see. Ooh, the Japanese one. Let's see. A lot of them, it's who called the stork. Oh my God. The Japanese translation. Wow.
What is it?
Is babies love top ladies.
Babies love top ladies. That's fantastic.
Now I got to check Portuguese. I'm sorry for anybody who's not tickled by this. Yeah, who called the stork?
If you're still with us by now, you've got to be enjoying this.
The Turkish one, yeah, I know, seriously, is called Supermom. Or translates to Supermom.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's either baby boom, one of those ones, or who called the stork?
Who called the stork?
I love that.
Maybe that's
and
what
horse
the remake
names.
should be.
I'm checking horse names. Boat names are a little trickier. The website is just not as easy.
I couldn't find any boats.
We have 4 horses named Baby Boom.
Oh.
None of them that... Yeah.
Baby infant explosion.
Of the Baby Boom apocalypse. So, 2 thoroughbreds, 2 quarter horses. One of them was born in 1980. One is 1963. The other one was 2018. And the other one, we do not have the information. But her father's name was Super Concord. And his parents' names were Bold Reasoning and Prime Aboard.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is right.
Yeah.
That's the right reaction.
Yeah. I have no
Dan. Well, what are we doing on our next episode? We're traveling a little bit.
Where are we going? We're going to Virginia.
Woo!
Yes. And we are going to be visiting Major Payne. So, directed by Nick Castle, director of The Last Starfighter.
We will talk plenty about Nick Castle.
Oh yeah, starring. I read a great Last Starfighter article a few days ago, but we'll come back to that next week. Starring Damon Wayans as Major Payne, Michael Ironside. We've got WWE legend Bam Bam Bigelow is in there.
Never heard of him.
He is from Jersey, by the way. He's also from New Jersey. He main evented against Lawrence Taylor.
LT.
Bam Bam Bigelow was a big deal. One of the big names in the 80s there and into the 90s, in fact. So, but anyway, it's
Michael Ironside.
Oh, and
Hillary Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes, thank you. Oh, Karen Parsons.
Yeah.
Karen Parsons. Yes. I was like, I know her name isn't Hillary Banks, but yes, Karen Parsons. So yeah, Major Payne. And, so we'll be checking that out. We'll be talking about that. And yeah.
And I'll remind our audience that we are covering Washington, D.C. as its own separate episode.
Yeah.
So Virginia, it's a lot of D.C. movies, like District of Columbia, not like, D.C. Comics.
The D.C. universe. No.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but you know what? Like, hey, Major Payne takes place in Virginia, shot in Virginia, and it's, hey, it's a movie that there have not been any sequels, or there's been really nothing more done with that. So we'll
talk about that.
Okay, never mind.
We'll talk about it.
I'm gonna hold my tongue.
Dan, as you are driving up to Vermont with your 2-year-old son to sweet Bill Conti music, I wish you a good journey.
Good journey. cars you drive.